What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Clearly Distorted podcast, the podcast where we discuss our clearly thought out ideas shared through our distorted lenses. I am Damien, aka the Devil's Advocate. He is Julian, aka I still need a nickname. And missing Patricia this week. She is under the weather. She's got the flu. Kids got the flu. Her house is a mess. So she's got the week off. She'll be back hopefully next week, feeling better.
But we're going to hold it down. And, ladies and gentlemen, I have a new nickname for you, Damien, for me.
Oh, wait, you got one for me or for you?
I got one for me.
Okay.
That I want you to say.
Gotcha.
So, when you introduce me, it's going to be a good one. From now on, I am the morning and evening star. Julian Ortiz, or Julian.
Okay. Well, does that have some sort of meaning?
I am the morning and evening star. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
Let's try it out.
Yeah. Let me make a note of this right here.
All right.
What the fuck does that mean? Yeah. Can elaborate? Expound?
It's a biblical thing.
Biblical?
Yeah.
From you. What's the biblical reference?
Just what it sounds like.
I don't know. For some reason,
Dang.
it's just not.
Listen,
Not
I've
settling
done.
in my soul.
I've done right. That's the thing. I've done all these like little sexual type of nicknames that you won't touch. So okay, so I'm going with something a little bit different, quite a bit different. But you don't have to have the context to everything. It's just the morning and evening star.
If it's coming out
Julian.
of my mouth, yeah, I want to know what I'm saying.
If it's coming out of your mouth, I don't know. That doesn't sound good. But anyway.
Words come out of my mouth.
Right.
I like to know what they mean.
Keep saying that over and over again.
Whatever.
The morning and evening star. There you go. There you have it.
Sounds like
Can we try it now?
a love song. I'm gonna get back to you on that one, man. But it's noted.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is actually going to fucking do research on this shit
1,000.
What the hell? Unbelievable. He's going to have the context of, like, stop. Just chill, man.
Did you expect anything else?
You know.
I mean, I'm asking you. You won't tell me, so I gotta go find out for myself.
All right.
Simple.
So, Daym, what's going on with you, bro?
What's going on with me? Yeah, not work's ramping up. Shit's getting crazy. It's that time of year. What else? I don't know, man. I think I had something to talk about, but for some reason, I just can't remember it.
Well, I know we had 20 questions lined up for you to go over with Patricia and I, but because she's under the weather, we're going to save that for next week. So for those of you who are really looking forward to it, just tune in next week. We will have it ready.
We'll bring it back. Now, I got my questions ready, but Patricia was so looking forward to it that she was going to try and do the podcast sick just for the 20 questions, but she just really wasn't up to it. So we're gonna hold off this week, and we'll save them for her next week.
Yeah, I don't think it would be as fun without her. So yeah, we'll definitely wait for that. But that'll give you a whole another week to contemplate and second guess yourself a million times and reanalyze every
Yeah,
question. And
yeah. I might go touch up a couple questions.
you got to tweak it, right? So yeah, take advantage of the time. So yeah.
But that's even more pressure now because now 2 weeks, like my questions gotta be fire.
Right.
Yeah, back to
See, I try to freestyle the questions, and like right before the podcast, I'm jotting them down. Where Patricia took her time, she did a week. She really came up with some good ones. So now the pressure is really on you.
Yeah. I'm honestly, I'm not even. I don't know that her array of questions can be topped. So I'm not aiming. I'm not aiming to top them. You think so?
Sure.
I don't know, man. She was like one after the other. They were.
It depends on. It depends on who she's asking, or who you're asking, or who I'm asking. Some questions, like for the most part, her questions were easy yes or no's for me, or like whatever. I've yet to. She had a couple that had me like, oh shit, I have to think about it. But for you, I guess because she knows you so well, or she put more thought into it. But yeah, she definitely had you trapped on a few of them. But yeah, that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. I didn't take that angle. I just came up with what I thought were some good questions, but they weren't tailored for anyone specifically.
That's gonna be
so maybe I need to
that's gonna be a very Damien like 20 questions, which it's good, right? It's your own style. So yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm thinking also you could call me the morning and evening star, aka Mr. Enigmatic.
Yeah, nah, that's a lot.
I think it just rolls off the tongue
really well. It rolls too long. That's a lot. Mystery man. How about that?
Mr. Enigmatic. Or we can go back to Ramrod or Globule Prince, or
those are not even options. Those are not even options to be discussed.
Anyway, I think we should move on. I think I've dragged this out long enough.
Well, what's up with you? What's new with you?
Getting new furniture for the house. We've been kind of shopping. Bedroom, dining room, living room. Like we're definitely doing it up. But it's tough. One, furniture is super expensive.
Yeah.
And two, we're trying to get a certain look for the living room. Like I want kind of like almost like a contemporary look, but it has to be specific. I like the neutral colors. I like grays, browns, beiges. So that part isn't going to be hard, but just a lot to consider. We already got our bedroom furniture, so that's good. So yeah, we're just doing it up. We got a new mattress and everything is good. So yeah,
is your fish tank in the living room area?
It is, and that is a consideration. That's why we're looking like at a dark gray, and then like the area rug gonna have like some blues in it, and so yeah, we're trying to kind of
gray is
match things a little bit around the fish tank for sure.
Gray is the color right now. It has been for like the last year or two.
Yeah, I'm looking like at a cool gray, but a little on the darker side, so it's nice.
You got like LED lights in your fish tank and shit like that?
Well, yeah, the tank has two big lights on them, so yeah, the LEDs.
And you gotta mount your TV, get some LEDs behind the TV and under the sofa.
Got LEDs behind the TV.
All that shit, all that good shit. That's what's up.
Already got that. So yeah, definitely. Now like a lot of the furniture, they have the LEDs already built in to the furniture, like underneath to give it that movie theater look. But I'm actually moving away from leather. I always buy leather. We always buy like the leather with the power seating. But here's a little funny story. So I don't want those comfortable leather sofas anymore. I want my sofa to be a little bit on the comfortable side.
So people don't spend so much time in the living room.
Exactly. It drives me fucking crazy. My nephew, when he comes down, sorry, Matt, love you, but whatever. But he's a big guy. He's a big guy, and when he sits on my sofa and he reclines and he's moving like it's just fucking with my head. I don't know why. It fucks with my head. I'm just like, yo, like, stay the fuck still. Like, same thing with my son. My son is a big kid, so they're just heavy on the furniture. Like, they're like rough with it, but they don't mean to be. They're just big guys, right? So, and then the crunch of the leather moving when people sit down, it's starting to annoy me. So like if somebody sits and I hear that like that leather,
you think it's tearing or something?
It's fucking with me. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going like microfiber or some shit. I'm trying to do some kind of fabric because Tanisha isn't too sold on it because she really likes the leather too. We've been getting the leather.
I like the leather because it's easy to clean and you don't worry about spills and shit like that.
That's another motivation. It's just like, okay, now motherfuckers don't eat in my living room now I can say that without looking like a total asshole, but whatever. Yeah. I mean, I could always say that.
Really,
my house, my shit, but yeah.
Well, make sure you get that Scotch Guard plan, man, if you go that route.
Absolutely.
Now, when we bought the house, we went pretty much everything new bedroom, living room, kitchen, appliances, everything. So I feel your pain. I said that to say I understand what you're going through. It's nice, but when you lay down in that new comfy bed, you're like, we paid how much for all of this shit?
Yeah. You know what it is? Like Tanisha and I, we've spent so much of our lives sacrificing for family and, for the kids and other things that we seldom ever buy anything for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like major like investments like that. Buying furniture is an investment. Funny thing is, it's one of those things where we feel like we benefit more than anybody else. My kids, they're on their phones so much. I think if I had furniture made out of like heaps of elephant shit, like they wouldn't even fucking notice. It's just like it's really
walking zombies.
Yeah, it's just like this all fucking day, and my son now, I bought him a PC, a gaming PC, so he spends most of his fucking free time in front of that thing.
Yeah.
And my other son, he has a Steam Deck and an Xbox and all of that in his room. So, when he's not working, he's basically home gaming it up. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm doing the living room because that's my domain. I'm going to eventually get a new surround sound system that I'm looking for. And yeah, so it's just, I feel like Tanisha and I, we need to start investing in ourselves. Recently we got a new car and, so now that the kids are older, fuck that. We're focusing on us next year. We're going to take a big vacation somewhere, hopefully. So, those are the plans.
That's dope. Big vacation. I love vacations. Got one coming up in June. Looking forward to it.
I got a trip coming in June, but not really a vacation. But
oh, that's right. We were talking about a work trip coming up.
Yeah, business trip. So yeah, that's about it for me, man.
Well, let's get right to it. So, news flashed today. Well, over the last couple of days, we're expecting Trump to be indicted on Tuesday.
Yeah. I woke up to that shit. I'm just like, what?
Well, that I had heard the rumblings for at least a day or two. It was Thursday or Friday. I started hearing this shit. But
yeah, I've been a little bit out of the loop, so yeah, I kind of missed that.
Hey, you've been busy shopping, man.
Yeah, and working.
So Trump takes to social media and says, his post says, and I quote, "The leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest, take our nation back."
You can't make this shit up. So, okay. So after January 6th, right?
You wouldn't think he would even dare.
Right. You wouldn't think he wouldn't even fucking dare. And here he is.
He was of course, he was very particular with his wording, though. So,
Right. Right. So I'm sure he's too stupid to get legal advice, but he probably got some sort of advice where it's just like, because if he got good legal advice, they would say, hey, don't say anything, right? Like absolutely nothing.
Right. Don't even, yeah. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, he just does the opposite of whatever he probably should do.
It blows my mind. It really blows my mind. Like, I almost don't know how to react to this story.
That's kind of how I feel. I just want to wake up to Tuesday and like see what the fuck happens.
Right. By the time you guys see this, we'll have one more day unless something else breaks between now and then. But yeah, Donald Trump, man. If anything, he's fucking entertaining.
I think this is it's gonna help him and it's gonna hinder him all at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but eventually.
I think this is gonna destroy him.
No, man. This is the type of shit that they feed off of.
I think he's losing that. I think really DeSantis is gaining so much ground. I think he's lost so much of his MAGA support. I really believe that.
I think here in Florida that's happening, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. I mean, DeSantis is pissing off a lot of people too. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But you know, the whole, you know, stolen election and the January 6th, and this is just right in that same ballpark, calling people to protest. It'll be wild if nobody shows up. If that happens, I'll just shut up and never say anything again because clearly I'll be wrong. But I think this could potentially motivate him and give him the nomination for the Republican Party. But the flip side to that is I think it would destroy him in the actual election, because an indictment, he'll be the first president, the first candidate to have been indicted running for president.
Well, first of all, and I wanted to look up the numbers, but because I saw something the other day, but Ron DeSantis has appeared on Fox News, I think like almost 200 times, like in 2023. So like he's constantly on there, and it's similar to how they were doing this with Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
You know, they pick their guy and that's the one that they push. Because the writing is on the wall. If you recall, a lot of things Fox News didn't like about Donald Trump, but they went with him full support because of where the base was. And it seems like now the base is starting to shift towards DeSantis. So and I think once DeSantis announces that he's running, I think that's when we're really going to see, you know, who's for him and who's for Trump. Now, I would love for them to be split 50-50, you know, fighting this out. But I have a feeling a lot of people have lost some faith in Donald Trump. A lot of his supporters.
I think he's lost some steam for sure. I mean, in all reality, Fox News can't. All these, they got another defamation lawsuit coming up that's bigger than the one they just went through. So there's no way they could touch Trump if they wanted to.
They're not doing any better with DeSantis either.
What do you mean?
He's toxic. He's
yeah. But I'm just talking about in terms of, you know, with all of the legal shit they're going through and the way it would appear, you know, for them to still be supporting him. I just don't think even if they wanted to, they could touch him. So, you know, DeSantis is the default candidate after him.
Yeah, but just so people understand a little bit of presidential politics and how this works. A lot of the crazy shit that you see DeSantis doing, the laws that he's putting out, and we're going to talk more about like the school lunches and things that you see Republicans trying to do. A lot of this is happening because why? They have the majority in the Supreme Court. You know, so they know that some of these things, no matter how much we fight it, once it gets to that level, they have allies at the top. So just so people don't, you know, so we're clear and everybody really understands this, because this is something that it's easy to forget. The reason why we see so much of this extreme kind of takeover or the things that they're doing is specifically because they have the advantage as far as, the courts, judges and stuff. So, and that has everything to do with who you nominate as president or who you,
Yeah. No, they've been
Yeah.
playing the long game for a long time for sure.
Right. So now, like, people looking around and saying, "Oh, well, what can Biden do?" Well, we should have never elected Donald Trump, and we wouldn't be going through a lot of this stuff. So yeah.
Do you think we'll actually see Trump in handcuffs? Like, do you think we'll get to see that? I'm sure even, he's being, we're anticipating him to be indicted, which then could mean he could be arrested. I think he's saying this shit to incite his people. Is no definite that he'll be arrested that same day. But if he gets arrested, he's gonna be out in like fucking 2 hours.
You know what's funny? So I do think at some point, and I predicted this before, that he's gonna end up in court, indicted, and probably jailed. But I'm not 100% on that. I think it's a possibility, right? But imagine this. Imagine, you're the Justice Department or whatever, and you really didn't have any intentions of arresting him, right? Because of the backlash. Now he puts this announcement out, and let's say there isn't a real backlash. Let's say that a lot of people don't come out and protest, so nobody gives a shit. You think then they might be like, why don't we just go ahead and do it? Let's just go ahead and arrest his ass.
Yeah, I think they intend.
You don't think they think that way, right?
Yeah, no.
But I'm thinking that way. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just to keep things in perspective, what this case is about is him paying Stormy Daniels hush money with campaign finances. So it's like 2 illegal procedures done in one. And
he's got so much shit stacked against him that if
this is probably the weakest of them all.
Right.
But yeah.
But you know how it is. I think once if they could get him in for something, then all the other things it's like domino. It's like the domino effect, right? Like get him in for one, and then everything is just going to stack on him.
Yeah.
He's going to be tied up in litigation for the rest of his life, I'm sure.
He won't even have time to campaign. Like this shit's about to get real.
He's going to make time. He has to make time because literally him becoming president again stops all of this shit from happening.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. Because, we have a shitty system set up.
Man, we might.
For people in power.
We might need to go live on Tuesday. That might be live worthiness.
We've talked about it. I think that might be something, something we might have to consider, yeah.
We'll see how that plays out.
Patricia, get that Robitussin ready. We're not sponsored, by the way.
Put some tussin on it. Chris Rockline. Anyway, man, we had the Oscars this week.
Yes, we did. Very excited over it, by the way.
Yeah, being the movie buff you are, I would imagine, this was up your alley.
Well, not just a movie buff, but I'm a huge Michelle Yeoh fan. I've been a fan of hers since years and years before she even really was international, when she was just doing mainly Hong Kong stuff. So Hong Kong cinema. So a huge fan of hers.
For those that don't know who he's talking about or what he's talking about, it's a reference to the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, which absolutely cleaned up the Oscars.
It is now the most successful, as far as award-winning film in the history of all movies. It's won more awards in all these different shows than anyone. I think it's like 264. I think is the number that I saw. So, and I think it's well deserved. I really do. I thought the film was amazing. I recommended it as one of our films. And it's a deep film. You got to understand, like, some of it comes from, like, I'll give you an example. Like, so Hong Kong cinema, right? and this is as I understand it. So this isn't a Hong Kong film, but I'm just saying Hong Kong cinema, along with a lot of other foreign films and some American films, especially early on, they really couldn't afford, a lot of the people couldn't really afford to watch movies all that much. So whenever a lot of these film studios would make films, they would try to implement everything in it, right? So one film would have drama, comedy, action. That's why Jackie Chan, that was kind of his formula, right? You can watch a Jackie Chan film, and in an hour and a half, you got like this huge range of emotions going through it. So I think in the spirit of that, this film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, kind of embodies that to a degree. And it comes a lot similar from where Michelle Yeoh is from, as far as like her background, the type of films. And this film has it all. It's funny, it's dramatic, it's got incredible action. It's, I cry when I watch it. It's a little bit confusing if you're not really focused on it. So it's quite an amazing movie.
When you sit down to watch it, you definitely have to have the intent of watching this movie, because you need to be alert, you need to be undistracted and engaged.
And just when you're getting it, it gets even crazier. Towards the end, like with the multi-universes and all of that, and Everything Bagel. The Everything Bagel. For those who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It just gets weird.
I sat down to watch it, but I wasn't prepared to watch it, so I didn't make it through. But I plan on going back and checking it out, because I am interested in things that explore parallel universes and shit like that.
Even though you're not a sci-fi type guy or fiction type guy,
but that's science to me. It's more of a science thing. So,
well, sci-fi is science. So,
yeah.
This is in the realm of fiction as we know it, but I get what you're saying. It has to have the right approach. So I think you'll get something out of it. Whether it's going to be your type of film, I'm not sure. But I'm interested to know overall how you feel about it once you see it. So definitely let us know when you get back. But I just want to, before we finish, because I know there was other things we're going to talk about with the Oscars, I just want to list a couple of films from Michelle Yeoh and just give a little background on her. So she didn't start off as an actress. Did you know that?
No.
So back in 1983, she was 21 years old. She was in England studying.
She was 21 in 83?
In 1983, yeah.
Okay.
So she was in England studying, and she came back to Malaysia to visit her family. And her mother tells her that she signed her up for the Miss Malaysia World pageant. So Michelle Yeoh didn't want to do it. She was really reluctant about it, but she agreed just to shut her mother up. And she actually won. So she was Miss Malaysia. She represented Malaysia and actually placed 18th in the entire world overall. So that was the start, really, of her career. Then she did some commercial with Jackie Chan, and that kind of blew her away, because Jackie Chan arguably is like the most famous actor in the world of all time. I'm talking like worldwide. I'm not talking about what we think in the States. So that was a big deal for her. And she actually soon after did a film with him called Super Cop. We know it as Super Cop here in the States, but that film is actually known as Police Story 3. So it's a third film in the Police Story franchise in Hong Kong cinema in China. So she was also in, I'll just list off a couple of movies that I love from her. Yes, Madame, Super Cop, The Heroic Trio, Tai Chi Master, I love that. Her and Jet Li, amazing. Wing Chun, everyone knows her from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She's also in Tomorrow Never Dies. She's a Bond girl, whatever. She's in Memoirs of a Geisha, Royal Warriors, The Lady, Far North, Crazy Rich Asians is another one that blew up recently. And of course, Everything Everywhere All at Once. So Michelle Yeoh, any of those films, check them out. My recommendations out of those films is definitely Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
It's the only one I've seen
Minister,
that you mentioned.
Yeah, and Super Cop. Those are my favorites of that. And of course, her recent films. So check her out. She's definitely, and this isn't the official movie recommendation, but more on her later on.
So that movie cleaned up. There was a lot of I think people were maybe not necessarily felt it was earned, but just felt it was due for Angela Bassett to win supporting actor. And she clearly felt the way by the expressions on her face. So
I have something to say about that. So most of the time when we're talking about best actor or best actress, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve it or whatever, but the film that she was in the running for, Black Panther, I don't, that wasn't like a nominee for best film. Nobody in their right mind is probably putting that movie in there. So it's a little bit harder to get that best actress, best actor nominee from that. And Jamie Lee Curtis is actually, if anyone's due for something like that, more so than Angela Bassett, is probably Jamie Lee Curtis. She's been in films way longer, right, without an Oscar. So if people felt like, oh yeah, she was due or whatever, I agree with that, whatever. And did she win anything for What's Love Got to Do with It, or was she
No,
snubbed?
that was she was snubbed. So
She was snubbed for that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
People
So
thought that this would be her get back.
right.
That's what I was saying. Not necessarily maybe that she earned it, but that it was due because
right.
that tremendous snub 20-something years ago.
Right. Angela Bassett is a better actress than Jamie Lee Curtis. I would say that. And if not, they're close. I don't consider either one of them like greatest actress of all time material, but they're good actresses, the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis is a little bit different in the films that she selects, typically are in dramas like that. She does like the horror films. She does these very niche type of films compared to like what Angela Bassett would do. So it's kind of hard to compare them. The only controversy that I take out of it isn't so much that Jamie Lee won it over her. It's more so her reaction to it. Angela Bassett's reaction when she won. She had like this like
she could have killed somebody.
She was not happy. And again, I understand it. But that's, as far as tradition is concerned, you cheer for the people who win. You cheer for the people who win. You in the Oscars, we don't, they don't do that typically, where you just see someone pissed off over it.
She had a Kanye moment. At least she didn't go up on the stage.
And if I was Angela Bassett, I wouldn't want to be my crowning moment to be Black Panther. I wouldn't want it to be a comic book film. That's just me.
I mean, I don't know. You get nominated, man. I don't think you care for what movie it is.
You don't. But like, for instance, Denzel Washington, he didn't win Best Actor for Malcolm X. So to make up, they gave it to him for Training Day, which is a joke, because you can't compare the two. When you see Denzel as Malcolm X, he was fucking Malcolm X.
But there's a lot of, there's some shit to that too. People say he had to play somebody crooked. There's a bar actually, Jadakiss. He had to play somebody crooked before he took it. So that.
Yeah, he also played a crooked person in the Malcolm X film and early in Malcolm's life. He was a criminal, so he. I mean,
we just talk about his body of work.
I'm just saying, in that movie, he had 3 different characters all rolled into one. 4 different characters. Like the character arc in that, in Malcolm's story in general is incredible. Just his evolution is something that should be studied. But
yeah,
Denzel played the shit out of that. So snubs, I don't know. I think the person who won over Denzel that year was Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman. I'm not sure. I think that's what it was.
Damn.
Yeah, he played a blind man.
Malcolm X movie's that old?
92, 93, Malcolm X, yeah. Yeah. So
Son of a Woman.
I could be wrong on that. I don't know for sure. Maybe we'll, somebody could look that up. But yeah, I think that's who he lost to. But either way, he deserved it. So, these things happen, but whether there's a controversy, whether Angela Bassett should have won it or not, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. Seems to be a consensus after the fact, but like immediately after the Oscars, like that's all. I didn't watch it this year, and I haven't seen many of the movies. The majority of the movies that were up, but
Well, one of your favorite movies was on there on best film. It was Top Gun.
it won like for best sound or something like that.
Yeah, but it was nominated for Best Picture as well. It was one of the
Oh, was
nominees.
it?
It was Everything Everywhere All at Once, All Quiet on the Western Front, Top Gun Maverick, Women Talking, The Banshees of Inisherin, which I thought was actually pretty good. I did see that. Triangle of Sadness, The Fablemans, Avatar, I thought was pretty amazing. Elvis, Tar, I saw Tar. Tar was kind of weird for me as well. Um, and there were a lot of things I didn't like about it, but it was overall a pretty good movie. Tar was good. So yeah. They had some pretty good films up this year.
Cool. I did. What did you think about what's his name that hosted it, the late night show guy?
Jimmy Kimmel.
What'd you think about his opening monologue?
I'm not a fan of Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's smug. And I know that's part of his comedy or whatever, but Malala was in the audience, and I didn't like the way he spoke to her. I didn't like that. And yeah, like his comedy is just it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I just saw the clip about him making a reference to anybody coming up on stage. He had like a few jokes about the shit that happened last year, which I thought was interesting, coming right off of the release of Chris Rock's
Right.
comedy show. So
yeah, Jimmy Kimmel's not my favorite host, but this is, I think, his second time doing it, right? I think it was his second time doing it. So,
I don't know.
I would have liked to see.
Things.
I would have liked to see Chris Rock back.
Oh, no way.
That
He
would
wouldn't. They would not allow him to do what he would have wanted to do.
probably that probably was a conversation somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
And have him come up on stage and holding a bat or something. That would have been hilarious.
Oh man.
Or with bodyguards.
Right. Yeah, no, it would have been like all night, like every it probably would have been too much. He'll probably never do it again, actually.
No, I think he'll be back.
You think so?
I think he'll be back. Yeah. You know, like Chris Rock, I think once he got this off his chest or whatever, I do think that that's not the lasting impression he wants in the Oscars for himself.
I just think it would just be extremely weird, say he's hosting and say Will Smith is nominated for something again.
Well, Will Smith can't be. They've banned him, so he's not going to ever be nominated. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, Will Smith is done as far as the Academy Awards.
Really?
Yeah.
For life.
Yeah, he's done. I believe so. Yeah.
Huh. I did remember hearing something. I do remember hearing something about that, but I didn't think it was oh well. I guess that won't be an issue then.
No, it won't.
Speaking of issues, NBA finally issued their determination on Ja Morant, gave him an 8-game suspension unpaid. Could have been a lot worse for the kid, but investigation determined that it wasn't his gun. He didn't bring the gun there, so he didn't violate any NBA rules other than his conduct being detrimental to the NBA, which is why he got the 8-game suspension.
Did you see his interview with Jalen Rose?
I didn't. I saw a good chunk of it. I didn't see the whole thing. I couldn't find it when, like 2 days after it had happened. I still couldn't find it, but I saw a lot of clips of it.
Same. I saw a couple of clips. I didn't see the thing in full yet. I plan to watch it, but just been watching the clips as they've been kind of coming in my news feeds and stuff. But a lot of people are starting to get upset over the fact that some people thinking that this isn't fair to Ja Morant. A few people, some people think like, okay, like that might be excessive. He didn't point the gun at anybody. You know, he's got to go to therapy. Like all of this stuff. And first of all, I think that this is going to sound maybe a little controversial, but I do think that everyone should be in therapy.
That's
to
not
some degree.
controversial.
Okay, good. I think everyone. So the fact that Ja Morant is entering therapy to kind of reevaluate his life and certain things, I think it's really strong. But some people think it's excessive.
The problem is he entered and exited like within days.
Well, I'm sure he's going to have to go to some ongoing. He should go through some ongoing, but that should be a private matter.
If he does, it would be
right
because
it should
he decides to.
It for sure should be private. And the thing that's going to probably stop him from doing this nonsense is probably all the money he's lost. Not any therapy. It's the backlash that's really gonna.
Yeah, I think he got more than anything. He got a real serious reality check, which, you know, sometimes, and maybe it's better it happened early on, because he was on a path that could have been pretty harmful. But
yeah, if this is sincere, he definitely deserves the second chance. He's way too talented. Overall, I think he's a good person. He's not like he doesn't appear to be like an asshole or anything. But yeah, it's a learning lesson, and he's gonna have endorsements, and he's gonna have all kind of things. As soon as he cleans up his act and there's no issues for a year or whatever. I know some people said that this has affected his career, like as far as like what his legacy is gonna be. I don't. I think people are gonna move on from this. I think he'll eventually move on from it.
I think it's an asterisk that can be erased.
Right, be.
It depends on what he does in the next 2 years.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
Like even 2 years from now, if he just gets into an argument with a stewardess on the flight, like,
you know what he might have to do, right? He might have to leave Memphis, or they may have to trade Dylan Brooks because. Yeah. Did you see what he did on the Heat game the other day?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
So he's. You know how like they sometimes run out of bounds for a loose ball or something. He was doing that, and he was a little bit off balance, and the cameraman was there. And he just pushed the cameraman on the floor and just looked at him, like looked down on him, and turned around and kept going. Like, I just don't get the guy, man. All this shit that he's talking with Draymond, and Draymond talks a lot of shit, but Draymond's earned his shit talking.
Yeah, you
haven't done shit, bro. He's constantly getting into arguments with other NBA players too, trying to get in Steph's face, trying to get in, I think it was Jimmy Butler's face or someone else. Like, just stop, bro. Like, you haven't done shit in this league to be walking around with that kind of chip.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to, it's working because he's getting the attention. So he's just trying to get his name out there. I don't know.
Does Ja Morant want that kind of guy, on his side? I don't know. It adds to the reputation, right?
No, 100%.
If they want to be the bad boy Pistons of this era, that's fine. But now after this has happened, I don't know if that's a good look for Ja.
I think it would be okay as long as they manage to keep it on the court.
How about if a huge fight breaks out because of some stupid shenanigans? Then it's
Ja Morant, right? Better run down to the opposite side of the fucking
and sit
court.
His ass on the bench, right?
Just like Giannis did. He caught a lot of flack for leaving Lopez hanging when he got into that little scuffle. But you got to understand your importance. It's the end of the season. Every game matters. This is the seeding period.
That's a fucking trap I don't like.
Well,
I hate that trap. So, like, you brought up Giannis, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Giannis would have got in there and fought for his teammate and got suspended or whatever, he's hurting the team.
Yeah.
He should know better, blah, blah, blah. That's not leadership qualities. But the moment he steps away, you got the same motherfuckers on TV basically saying, oh, well, look, back in the day, you don't leave your teammates behind and you got to get in there and you got to, like,
I heard some of that. But I think more people were saying, yeah, but he did the right thing. As a leader, he was being responsible. He knows that this, he's got to be on the court at the end of the season, and he can't take any suspensions.
Right. Do I think it's a fear thing? No, Giannis is a fucking monster, right? But I think he's just smart enough to know this is basketball. This is my job, and I need to be here.
I'm the most important person on this team. I can't jeopardize my team.
Now, if he's 5 or 6 man off the bench, then fucking wild out, right? You know what I'm saying? Wild the fuck out, right?
Every team has someone on the bench for that reason. So yeah,
right.
Yeah, let that dude do his job. Let someone else take the suspension. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, just the 8-game suspension cost him over $1 million. They pulled his Powerade advertisements. It's unclear if Coca-Cola has or will sever ties, but at this point, the only thing that's been determined is that they pulled the ads, and we don't even know if that's gonna actually cost Ja money. Still has the potential to lose was like $39 million if he doesn't make the All-NBA team. Which I think he probably will now because the suspension was so short. But that part of the conversation was like, if he suspended 50 games, and obviously he's not coming back the rest of this season and probably won't make it.
Right. He wouldn't have made it if that was the case.
Right. So I guess he, still has he still may not, because even though the 8-game suspension is up, the team is saying that doesn't mean that he's going to be playing right away. So
I think he will. I think they may sit him out a few more games just to make sure that, because he has been out for a while, so they'll probably get a few practices in, and
I think he's eligible to play Monday.
Yeah, probably maybe avoid, depending on what the schedule is, maybe certain teams, maybe how that falls if they're on the road or not. But I think he'll be back. They got a playoff run, and I think he's going to gear up for that. And now he's rested, so don't be surprised if we see some 40, 50-point drops before.
And he's got something to prove.
So, yeah.
It's gonna be interesting, man. They're what, in the second seed right now in the West? Memphis?
Nah, are they that high up?
I believe so.
I don't think so. Maybe you're right. I know the West has been, every team in the West except for Denver, they've been struggling.
I think Denver's number 1. I think Memphis is 2. I don't remember who's 3. 4, I think, is Phoenix. So
in the West, it's Denver, Sacramento, then Memphis. So
I think that might have just
sleeping
changed
on Sacramento.
I think Sacramento was in 3rd. I think that might have just changed.
They're tied. Essentially, Memphis and Sacramento are tied, but I think Sacramento has the series win. So they're number 2. Then it's Phoenix. Then it's the Clippers. Then it's Dallas. Then it's Golden State. Then it's Minnesota. And then 9 and 10, we got Oklahoma and Lakers. So that's what it's looking like.
Yeah, that playing tournament in the West is going to be crazy.
Golden State better get their shit together. I don't know what the hell's happening with that team on the road, but
they don't want to finish in the 7th seed. That's for sure.
Or in the play-in.
Well, where are they at right now?
They're number 7.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They if they're in the 7th seed, 7 and below, they're in the play-in. So they want to at least finish in the 6th.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that team. I'm rooting for them. They're my favorite. Steph is my favorite player. I love Clay. I like Draymond. But I don't know. It's not looking good. But anyway,
since you got that up, just what's the East looking like?
See the East Coast? Yeah, we'll talk about the East Coast. So we got, in this order, we got
start with number 5.
No, hold on. Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Miami, Atlanta, and
get out of here.
Oh shit! I skipped number 5. It was the Knicks. The Knicks are number 5. So we got Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, Cleveland, and New York. New York is 41 and 30 right now. So 4 games to separate them from being a 4th. So I think that comfortably they're going to stay in the.
Either way, even if they move to 4th, they still play. It's still the same. They're still going to play Cleveland. So
yeah. So yeah, I think excellent for the Knicks, man. Much props to the Knicks. I still think they're 2 pieces away from being contenders, but
one piece. One piece.
Yeah, well, that piece has to be a fucking large ass piece. You know what I'm saying? But okay.
I think if we would have got, I mean, we need someone like what's his name? He played his whole career in Utah. Then
it's Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell. You know, it was a lot of speculation that he was coming to the Knicks. But if we would have got him, then we wouldn't have gotten Brunson. But if we could get him or a player of his caliber to play with the current team we have now, it's over.
Yeah, you know, Donovan Mitchell is great. He's really like an incredible player. Explosive, you know. But I don't know, man. I think the Knicks need someone even bigger than him.
No.
I mean, could they go wrong with having a player like that? Absolutely not. But I just think that, yeah, I think that they need a superstar. They need one of those like top 7-8 players in the league.
I don't think so. Not the way this team has played. I mean,
you're not thrilled with him, but how much better would they be with a Jason Tatum?
Yeah,
how much better would they?
I don't even want to. I would take Brunson. I would take Jalen. I would take listen, he's about to be a free agent too.
Look, again, I would take Jalen for sure, but just stop this madness, man. Like, Jason Tatum is like he's a great player.
He is a great player, but it's the other stuff that
he's been to the finals and the Eastern Finals. That says a lot about him.
But so has Jaylen Brown. Like they've been there together.
I'm not comparing them because Tatum is the better player. I'm talking about like just overall, like for his age. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, he couldn't win it all, whatever. He's 25. Like he's 25 years old. Like, and he's already been there twice. Just suppose that
he is
to
a
like
great
Luka
player.
or
he's great. I'm not taking that from him. I just think he's missing some of the other tangibles that I just don't. That is gonna hinder him. I think Jaylen Brown has those tangibles, and he is not that far behind Tatum. He's a notch under Tatum, maybe.
I'd say 2 notches.
Listen, I was being generous by saying a notch. He might be like a half
2
a
notches.
Notch. Look, their stats are almost identical. I mean, there's nothing that definitively you could say that Tatum's that much better than Brown.
Well, when I see the both of them playing, Jalen clearly has his moments, but the team is centered around Jason Tatum.
The team is built around Tatum.
It's built around Tatum, and even the defenses are worried about Jason Tatum. He's the focal point.
Now between the two of them, who performs the best in the playoffs?
I still think Jason Tatum hasn't had the bigger moments as far as like recently, but I think Jason Tatum does perform better.
All right. I'll take Jaylen Brown.
Well, we'll see.
Jaylen Brown comes to the Knicks next year. It's to the conference we go.
All right. I would love to see that. I really would love to see the Knicks get a player like him.
Man.
Or Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. His explosive. I would love to have him, but I don't know. They got Cleveland rocking, man. There's a bunch of young kids out there. They're kind of like
Cleveland's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
For any team.
Yeah. But I think we can get past them because the Knicks just don't stop. They play tough. They play all the way to the end of the game. I mean, they're out of just the other day. Who was it? They were down by 14, came back and won at the end of the game.
The Knicks are they're in a position now where the effort is carrying them through a lot of games. Not the talent. The effort and the coaching is carrying them through a lot of this stuff. But we all know in the playoffs, things are different. So, we're gonna see. We're gonna see for sure. We only got what are we looking at? Another
10
2
games,
weeks?
maybe something
like that. So yeah. So we're can you believe it? Right? We're almost like at the end of the season already. Like crazy.
We started this podcast the game 1 of the NBA season.
Yeah. So.
And do you remember what you said that episode?
I said, let's see where the Knicks will be.
Let's in 10 games, let's see where the Knicks will.
But I'm not wrong when I'm saying that if they make the playoffs, they're out the first round. So
no.
We're gonna see.
No. Stop it. This team, Cleveland's tough, but this team,
you have no doubt that they're gonna beat Cleveland. You have zero doubt that they're gonna win.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is this team is a team that could. I wouldn't have said this last year. Last year, I knew we made the playoffs, we'd be out the first round. This team is a second round caliber team.
Listen, if Brooklyn didn't lose Kyrie and Kevin Durant, Brooklyn would be higher than New York. So New York would be 6. And if Miami wasn't playing like Golden State,
wait, you can't,
where they're just underachieving.
Hold on. No.
Hold on, let me finish my point.
Let me finish beginning of your premise is bullshit.
Wait, let me finish my point. Then Miami, if they weren't underperforming, then the Knicks would be under them. Same thing with the Hawks. So all I'm saying is this really because the Knicks are playing that much better? Or is this a little bit of fool's gold? Is this a little bit of
the Knicks record is what the Knicks record is. It has nothing to do with those teams reaching their potential or not. If you take them and put them in the West, I didn't say that. Yeah, you said if Brooklyn didn't lose their players, they would be better. And if Miami and Atlanta didn't underperform, then the Knicks would be below them.
I'm simply stating that some of the Knicks overachieving, if that's what you want to call it, is due to certain breaks that they've gotten from other teams.
No.
So all I'm saying, as far as their standing in, their position in the standings.
No, because their record is still what their record is. Those other teams would have better records than what they do now.
Records. They'd have better records than what they do now. And what's separating them is what, 1 game each? 2 games? They're 2 games. They're 2 games better than Miami. Like they go on a 3-game losing streak. Miami goes on a 3-game winning streak. They're the 7th seed. Like it's that simple. So that's all I'm saying.
It's the same in the West. It's all close. You could, if you took the Knicks out of the West and took their record and put it, out of the East and put the records in the West, they'd be in the same exact.
I'm just saying the biggest benefactor of the Brooklyn Nets losing KD and Kyrie is the Knicks.
That's bullshit because they're still winning. They're almost playing better. Their win-loss ratio hasn't even changed, which is fucking phenomenal. That's wild.
Okay.
The Brooklyn Nets have not gotten worse by losing those 2 people, is what I'm saying.
That's the wildest shit you've ever said. They're playing at 500. They've won 5 out of their last 10 games. They are not any way better with.
That's what they were. What was their record before?
KD was fucking injured, bro. Like stop. Like come on. All right, we got to move on. But this was fun.
Anyway, keeping it on basketball, March Madness has kicked off, and in day 1, the entire world's brackets are busted. No one has an intact bracket.
So explain this for our non-sports people out there.
So in college basketball, 64 teams play in a tournament. You lose, you go home. You win, you carry on. It goes all the way down to the last 2 teams. So you have a bracket of 64 teams that dwindle down to 2 for the championship. It's a tradition that viewers or followers of the sport will pick who they think is going to win and lose each of those 32 games. 64 teams play 32 games. The number one seed lost to a school that no one has ever even heard of.
So the top, Purdue, right?
Right.
The top team loses to a team that not only were they expected to beat, but nobody even thought it was possible.
It's the biggest upset in the history of the NCAA tournament since the 1985 expansion. This team, Fairleigh Dickinson, out of Jersey somewhere, was a 23.5 point underdog, 23.5 point underdog in this game. And they won. It's wild.
So for all the brackets, people obviously equated Purdue getting past.
Everybody had going. Purdue beating this team.
So now everyone's just wrong.
Every bracket is wrong for here on out.
I love the chaos. I love that, right? How do you not love that?
Yeah. I mean, someone could still have, picked the Final Four correctly. Maybe they didn't have Purdue going all the way, but nobody had Purdue losing this game.
Right. That's
crazy.
That really is it's what makes sports exciting. In my opinion, it's one of the flaws of the NBA when you compare it to the NFL, right? NFL, the playoffs are single elimination games, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with the Super Bowl. So there is that chance that the team that's favored to win isn't going to win because anyone can lose a game.
They say on any given Sunday, that's the saying.
NBA, other sports, it's a baseball, it's a series, right? So usually the best team will win. They may win a game, lose a game here and there, but usually they win. Not always, but usually. For gambling purposes and that kind of stuff, if anyone ever put any bets on Purdue losing, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'd love to see if somebody comes out and, had a big win on that.
They would have had to bet on Fairleigh Dickinson. That would be
maybe someone from Jersey.
The odds were so you could probably have bet like $100 and made thousands. I don't know how that shit works, but with the odds being so against you, that
how trends work, right? So now I'm thinking I'm just gonna bet on every first round, like on any like number one seed losing, just $100 just to see if I get lucky here and there.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't know. It better be a school you heard of at least. Just throwing away 100. But I've never heard of Fairleigh Dickinson. I don't even know if they've ever made the 64 tournament yet before. They actually made, this is how wild this is, right? They made the tournament on a technicality. The team, they lost in their conference championship. The team that beat them just converted from a D2 school to a D1. So they weren't eligible for the tournament. So even though Fairleigh Dickinson lost, they got in because the team that beat them wasn't eligible for the tournament.
Wow.
And then they get in and off the number one seed.
If they get any further into this, it sounds like a movie in the making, man.
It could be. It could be.
Anyway, that's crazy. That's wild.
That's why they call it March Madness. So we kind of alluded to it earlier. We're talking about the possibility of Trump running against DeSantis if he ever officially throws his hat in. But man, he's got the GOP in a frenzy himself. Like, they may not be rocking with Trump, but they're not completely sold on this guy either. Did you hear the statement he made about Ukraine? He said, becoming further entangled in a territorial dispute between Ukraine and Russia is not a vital U.S. national interest. Like, Putin has just been, a warrant is just issued for his arrest for war crimes. This is not a territorial dispute. This is a country under attack.
I don't know. You know how I talk about the GOP and people who are on that, but if there are any sane people out there, sane voters out there, if there's any of them left after everything that happened with Donald Trump, if you're not, you know, arguing against my point, if you're not a racist, if you're not a bad person and you typically vote Republican, now is the time to prove that. You know what I'm saying? Like, now's the time to prove that. If they have issues with some of the things that he's saying, is it because he's saying things that are crazy, or is it because he's saying things that aren't as hateful as they'd like it to be? In this case, it's crazy for him to say that.
Yeah.
And if there's some sort of backlash, now, is it a backlash from the base or is it a backlash from the media?
No, it's
Sometimes that gets a little clouded.
Pence, Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, Liz Cheney, Nikki Haley.
See, but
John
those are
Cornyn, Roger Wicker.
opponents. Those are considered like political opponents.
Why?
Because you know these people are going to run. But is DeSantis, does his base, is what I'm saying, his people, his voters, his constituents, are they in line with what he's saying?
Yeah.
Because if they are, then all this is just talking points. So when they have that first debate, they have shit to throw at him.
I think it's bigger than that, because you have to have your party behind you. You can't be opposing your party and the opposite party as well.
But Trump has proven that he can.
No, they all got behind him.
No. Trump has proven that he could go against his party and they're going to get behind him regardless. And it's going to happen. If DeSantis ends up being a nominee, no matter what he says that Rubio doesn't like, or Cheney doesn't like, or Chris Christie doesn't like, or whoever, they're gonna be in line with him anyway. Because you know what they're gonna say? Well, DeSantis or Biden. Well, we gotta go with DeSantis. So they're gonna support him no matter what. I'm just wondering, how does the base feel about this? How does his people feel about this? Because you know how stupid some of them are. They're just gonna be like, well, he's got a point. We need to get out of these wars. And even though if he was for it, they'd be cheering his ass anyway. But I'm just wondering, how do they feel?
I think a lot of them already believe that we shouldn't be sending over all of the money that we do, or spending the money that we do. We're spending and sending billions of dollars.
We shouldn't get involved. Some people think that, we shouldn't.
Yeah, so I guess those people would be in favor of his statement, but it's I understand. I get both sides of it, but I don't think, if you think we shouldn't be involved in what's going on in Ukraine, then you don't really understand how the world works.
I would agree. There's just things you can't ignore.
I do not like at all the amount of money that we're sending over there, but it's necessary. So I get it. The people who aren't fond of sending over that money, fine, I get it, but we need to.
We're gonna go through this again, part 2 with China and Taiwan. So it's gonna probably happen all over again.
I think that might be a little different.
I'm just saying.
I think we might actually be involved in that one.
Yeah. Well, the point is this isn't going to stop. This is going to continue. And I think that's why the argument to it, it's somewhat of a valid argument. I'm not saying I agree with it, but some people feel like it. And for me, I mean, anything we can do to avoid war, I don't think the United States should be part of almost any of that shit. But sometimes it's just unavoidable to not be involved in at all. Especially what has happened in Ukraine and what Russia has been trying to do. It's disgusting. But yeah, so I don't know if if his statement is just going to be used as political talking points, as opposed to, is this really bothering, a big portion of the Republican Party? I don't think it is, but I wish it was, but I don't know.
Well, that will is yet to be determined, I guess. We'll see. But he's ruffling a lot of feathers and he seems to be enjoying it. So maybe this is all part of his plan. Then you got Minnesota Governor Tim Walz signed a free school meals bill into law where this is providing and he's not even the first to do this, apparently it's the third state to do it, but it's providing free breakfast and lunch for all students, not just the poor. Anyone who is hungry can get a free meal, 2 free meals a day from school. And it's only costing the state something like $200 million. Like it's not an absorbent amount of money to feed children.
Right.
But then you got dickheads like State Senator Steve Drazkowski, who said he's yet to meet a person in Minnesota who is hungry. Hey, what does that even mean?
Right, like you've met every person in Minnesota for one.
One, two. I mean, is that something people walk around talking about? Like you meet someone and you tell them you're hungry. Like, how you doing today, man? I'm hungry as fuck. You've never heard that. And then he goes on to say, it doesn't cost much to feed children. I should know I have 3 of them. Now this is
that was Ben Shapiro's quote. That was Ben Shapiro's quote.
Who said that?
Ben Shapiro.
This Drazkowski guy happens to be not that it matters, but just character background. He's a multimillionaire who was arrested for assaulting his 14-year-old daughter.
Was she hungry?
Stomach must have been growling too loud or something. I don't know.
We talk about like, again, I'm bringing it up again, what I think about Republicans, right? And, there's a nuanced argument and maybe they're just voting for this or that. And those are the voters. But as far as the politicians are concerned, on almost every issue, I don't understand why they choose these terrible things. Who's for like starvation or kids being hungry? Like, who supports that?
I just don't. It's like they don't want to spend money when it's aiding people, when it's aiding the poor. They'll spend it on the military. They'll spend it sending billions to other nations, but they won't spend
because there's a return investment in that. There is no return investment to help people who are destitute, right? People who don't have the money. I mean, you could argue that, well, those are your voters, right? Those are the people who are going to vote for you, but they're not the people who are going to pay for your campaign. And even though politicians like Bernie Sanders has proven that you can, and even Barack Obama to a degree, you can actually have a lot of campaign financing from small donations. But still, GOP doesn't look at it that way. They don't care about the smaller people. They don't care if your kids are hungry, if they're sick. They're pro-life, but once you're born, they could give a shit about you.
Yeah, you know what? Separate topic, but I'm not letting them get that pro-life shit off anymore. They're anti-abortion. They're not pro-life.
Excellent, because I would agree. There's nothing pro-life about that stance. And that's the thing I say about woke or Black Lives Matter or how they would use socialism, socialists or whatever. They take certain phrases and make it good for themselves or make it bad for the other party, right? So saying pro-life actually isn't really accurate at all.
Because none of their policies benefit life.
Right. And I mean, we're talking kids in school. I don't care if you can afford it or not. I don't care if you could, let's say maybe my son, he has to get up at 5 a.m. to get, catch the bus or whatever, go to school. That's what they changed it to. Like, I think he has to start at 7 or whatever. So he's up by like 5 o'clock in the morning. There are times where he doesn't have time to stop and eat breakfast because he's got to catch the bus or whatever, or mom's got to take him. So for kids like that, which there are millions across the country, it'd be nice to be able to come in and get a free lunch, just hey, or free breakfast in the morning. Like, hey, let me get some eggs or whatever, and you move on with your day. What is wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with it at all. At all.
Especially if we're so concerned about our education and we say breakfast is the most important part of the day, most important meal of the day.
I mean, at some point you got to break the fast, right? At some point you got to eat something. So yeah, might as well be within the first 2 hours you being awake. I just don't understand. I don't understand the talking points. I don't understand how this is good for the nation, how this is good for children. Even getting up and making those statements. Ben Shapiro's been all over this shit. Let me read you what he got here. He says, if you think the key thing standing between kids and starvation is school lunch, that's silly. If a child is on the verge of starvation, you must call CPS, not spend hundreds of millions on disproportionately unhealthy lunches, a huge percentage of which are discarded.
So make them healthier.
Right. Invest, make them healthier.
That's your argument. Let's make them healthy. So let's just not give them lunch, because the lunch that we do provide. So if you weren't eating at all, would you care if it was the most nutritious meal, or would you just be happy to eat something?
I would be happy to eat something.
These arguments are like fucking senseless.
And they're the same people who would rally against upping the budget on schools to make the meals healthier, like they did against Michelle Obama, right?
Look at what we had to go through here a couple of years ago. We had to vote for an amendment to increase a tax by 1% to put air conditions in our school. Like, why?
And who's fighting against that?
Why isn't that just? Why do we have to vote for that?
Right.
Why is that not just done? Like,
because there's a segment of the population, and there's and it's on the right, that believe that this shouldn't be a thing. You know what? A big part of it too is private schools. A lot of Republicans, they want to privatize schools. So the shittier they can make public schools in order to promote, private schools, especially Christian-based ones, they're going to do it. And they don't care how many people suffer. They don't care, because it's easier too to indoctrinate kids who are in a privatized school, right? It's especially if it's like a Christian school, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they talk about freedom of speech and freedom of this and anti-woke, but really the stuff that they're doing is so extreme. I'm just shocked that
it's anti-freedom.
It's anti-human. It's inhumane. And I know, like, some conservatives they'll take the approach, well, this is a fiscal decision. This isn't an emotional one. This is, are we spending too much money? Like he made the case in here where he talked about where a majority of the food is going to be discarded anyway. Well, that goes without saying, right? How much food is discarded in restaurants that aren't eaten? That's not a fucking argument to not have free lunches in the school. Of course, there's going to be a portion of it that the kids just aren't going to finish. You could be the most efficient restaurant ever, and you're going to run into that.
You're going to have waste. It's a part of the budget planning.
Right. So he makes those statements. He adds that in, and some moron who's agreeing with him, it's like, oh, well, that's just wasteful. We're just wasting more food. Isn't that what you liberals hate? It's those stupid arguments that they make that really doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to some of their base, and it's horrifying.
Yeah. So if your concern is the food that's getting thrown away, the waste, the resolution is to not give food away. The resolution then would be to plan better, forecast better. There are schools that stay open during the summer to feed kids. So kids will always be able to get breakfast and lunch, even throughout the summer, because a lot of kids depend on those meals. So at least we have that much going on here in our county anyway. I don't know if that's a Florida thing or if that's a Hillsborough County thing, but
Yeah, I don't understand it. I'm all for food stamps, and I'm all for free lunches, and I don't think, especially considering this country, how incredibly wealthy we are, we should have any segment of the population that can't have you know access to food. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
No, I don't either. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I guess we're too woke, man. I guess we're too just, too fucking liberal, too woke, too we're too socialist, bro.
I just think if this is really supposed to be a country of the people, for the people, by the people, then the people should benefit from the resources of this country. If you live in Alaska, who has shit ton of oil, Alaskan residents get a check once a year. They benefit from the resources of that state. Why is that concept so hard to? Why is it an issue? Why, like, it's the same here. You live in a state that has a surplus in money. Like, Florida has money that they don't even know what the fuck to do with, and we shouldn't have these type of issues anywhere.
But we do, and not only do we have these issues, but it's always a fight, because if they lose the battle here, they're going to chip away at something else, and they do it so often that we just kind of step back, and it's like, okay, wages are low, and food is hard to come by, medications are hard to come by, insurance is hard to come by, and all of these things. And it's always a fight. It's just always a fight. And it's always the same issues, right? Women's rights, civil rights, poverty. It's always an attack on that. And I don't understand why. And I don't understand, we as people, why we put up with it.
Just disengaged. There's too many of us that are just disengaged and uninvolved, unaware.
If you worked for a company, and the company wanted to take a vote on who's going to be the boss, right? And it's a small company, right? And it comes down to two people. One person wants to give pay raises and give health insurance, and the other person doesn't want that. Could you see anyone in that organization voting for the person who doesn't want to benefit the employees? Could you see any employee doing that? Well, that would be the same thing here in the States, right? How do we vote continuously for people who do not have our better interests in mind? I don't understand that.
There's people that will convince them that helping or this increase, while it may help you personally, it's going to be a short-term thing because the company won't be able to sustain it. The company is going to close down, and then you're going to lose your job. And so in the long run, they're convincing you to work for less to keep your job.
Meanwhile, that person owns a yacht
and is getting a huge bonus because you just took a pay cut.
They could wipe their ass with $100 bills and not even worry about it. And meanwhile, you're sitting back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, worried about what's good for the company. And actually, what's good for the country is that its citizens are eating and are healthy and are able to work.
And are educated.
Yeah. So there we go.
We got to put the people before the corporations at some point.
We got to figure it out, Daym.
Well,
we got to figure it out.
I think Congress, or part of Congress, is making some sort of attempt to have an impact on the people. They're reintroducing the 32-hour work week, something we talked about back in episode 15. The experiments that were going on in Europe and here.
I love that.
It's only been successful. Every study, every test is only been successful, and yet we still have people that want to oppose it just because it's different from the way it's always been. So what this bill would do, It's called the 32-Hour Workweek Act. It was introduced by Representative Mark Takano of California. Proposes amending the Fair Labor Standards Act to shorten the standard work week by 8 hours for non-exempt employees. A non-exempt employee is someone who is currently entitled to overtime when they work more than 40 hours. So someone who is not on salary would be considered a non-exempt employee. So you work your 32 hours, and if you have to work more than that, it's paid time and a half. People are pushing back because, a lot of corporate structure is based on this 5-day or 40-hour schools, bank hours. It doesn't necessarily mean these businesses are going to be closed. It's not like, some of them in Europe, it's just closed for days or for hours. They're just going to have to hire more people to cover the shifts, but you will only work 32 hours. That will be a full work week for you. And people just can't wrap their minds around it. There's 61 European companies that tested this out, 33 American companies that tested this out, and not one of them have gone back to the 40-hour, 5-day work week. Not one. They've all tested it, benefited from it, and stuck with it.
Even from my own personal work experience, right? When you work 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, you have your commute hours in the morning and in the evening, just a typical work week, right? And I know it's not typical for everyone, but I'm just saying the majority, that 9 to 5 kind of thing mentality. It's grueling. It's grueling. You can't really enjoy your life. You can't really make time to do certain things for your kids or whatever. It's a huge benefit. I'd rather take, and I do this, I'm actually doing this next week. I'm taking Friday off. Sometimes I'd rather go certain weeks and just take one day off at a time, as opposed to just blowing it all on one week. Because for me, I work better when I'm under less stress. I work better when I'm able to focus on my personal issues, and then I come back to work and I don't have to worry about that shit. It's already done. I had 3 days to take care of whatever.
Yeah.
And I think for most people, that would be a huge benefit. But of course, the idea, as we're talking about, where some people feel like that it's just America being lazy. It's just people being lazy. Oh, they're lazy in Europe. They're lazy.
But it's the opposite. They're getting more work done.
Right.
In less time.
Right.
The production is up. The morale is up. People are happier. They're doing more. They're more excited when they come to work. They're ready to work. They're refreshed. They're home, like you said. You have more time to spend with the kids or to resolve, issues outside of work, so that you're not distracted by them when you go to work. There's no argument to be had against this. It's just been disproven. This has been studied for almost 10 years. Even in the most recent experiments, there's no negative output.
Progress is slow, but there is going to be opposition to this.
Oh, of course. Some people are saying like the biggest pushback to this bill now is that they don't believe a one size fits all is going to work for everyone. But that's what we did 100 years ago when we said 40 hours is going to be a work week. That was implemented. That's a one size
fits all, right?
So, I really don't see how difficult it is going to be or impactful it's going to be. There's no negative impact. Again, every company in these last 2 experiments has implemented this process moving forward. They have not gone back to 40 hours.
All it's going to take is for a few major companies, major ones, to implement this. And it's going to be a benefit and a factor in what people look for when they look for a job. I know now after COVID, right? We still have a lot more remote work from home
Right.
jobs than what we did prior to that. Now, before COVID happened, I worked from home for the company that I was working for. So this isn't anything new to me. But I do know from hearing other people and seeing things where it's a game changer now. I don't want to have to go back to the office now if I don't have to. And I think that 4-day work week is going to be one of those things where something might happen, maybe this bill, maybe other things that become, more nationwide, where we start to see this and implement it. And when people look for a job now, it's just like health insurance, right? Oh, well, if their health insurance sucks, I'm not going to go for that job. I'm going to go for this job. That'll be a factor. I'd rather see it just across the board, but I don't think it'll happen that way. It's going to be one of these slow moving things. But what is exactly the bill? Is it like
It's just that it's just changing what we established as a full work week. Like non-exempt employees work 40 hours and then you're entitled to time and a half if you work beyond 40 hours. It's just changing that to 32.
And this is introduced at what level?
It's in Congress.
It's in Congress. So it's but it's not obviously signed. It's just introduced, right? It's not like
at this point, right?
And who do you think is going to vote against this?
It was proposed by a Democrat, so
Kermit the Frog meme.
Sips tea. I think the timing of it is telling. We just went through midterms, which didn't turn out the way we anticipated.
The red wave.
Thankfully so.
Right.
And we're just a year away from doing it again. So if they can maintain the Senate and take over the House again, then there's a very good shot. I don't know what the requirements would be to pass this bill. If it's just a majority vote, then clearly having both houses in the Congress would help. But I guess more to come. We'll see.
I'm glad that it's being introduced, and I hope that it's something that continues to become a narrative in the country, because I think the popularity will increase. I think even a lot of people on the right will want this.
To be clear, it's not reducing your pay.
Right. It's maintaining your 40-hour pay, but
you get paid what you get paid, but in 32 hours as opposed to 40.
So if you make, let's just make it easy. If you make, I don't know,
$500 a week.
$500 a week, it's still $500 a week. Right.
So I think
that would be really shitty. But anyway, yeah.
It's just a number, man.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to think what would be a good number to say. Like,
yeah. I think corporations will find ways to navigate around it. Just I guess if say you're getting paid $15 an hour, just as a number, and you're working 40 hours a week, your hourly salary would have to be increased.
If they keep you at 5 days, then that 1 day is like a time and a half, right? So I guess what you're saying is, if, like, let's say you make you whatever your dollar amount is, right? Make it 15 an hour. You work, but the companies decide to keep you 5 days a week. That means that Friday would be overtime pay if this law was implemented, right?
Right.
Like they couldn't.
But I'm saying, even overtime aside, if you just work 32 hours, it would have to be at a higher hourly rate to maintain the same pay.
I see.
Same level
so
of income.
It would essentially be a boost in the minimum wage then, or just in the wage period.
It would be. Yeah, but it wouldn't have the same impact as a minimum wage increase. But yes, your hourly wage would have to be higher to. People aren't making more money. They're not getting a wage increase and making more money. They would be getting a wage increase to make the same money because they're working less. So
I would really, really love to see this, but again, I guess I'm too woke. I guess I'm too. Are we just, we're just good people, right, Damien? Like, is that what this whole shit is? Like,
I think that's like, part of it, but I just think we're able to see outside of the box. Like, so many of us, and it's more of an American thing because other countries don't have this stubborn mentality. This America is this the way it's always been. This is the way it will always be. Like, that's an American thing. So a change as dramatic as this is just because it's a change, it's an issue. So
you presented some things. We spoke about it on the previous episode where the studies have shown that this is a benefit not only to the employees but to the companies, right?
Yeah.
So we have real evidence to back this stuff up. So it's not a case of where you and I are just being naive because we're good people. That's why I was just being a smart ass, but really that's what the argument would be, right? It's just like this, one size doesn't fit all, whatever. That's the argument. But I think if there are real studies, which we've spoken about, that show that this is a benefit, it should be something that we all support. Shit, Congress, they don't work all that fucking much.
No, they don't. They get a lot of breaks.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But if you guys are curious about the details, I would say go check out episode 15 where we dug into these studies. But just off the top of my head, the company's overhead was lower. They were spending less on space, less on electricity, and the employees' production increased. So they were getting more work done in less time and having to spend less to house these employees. So it's a win for the corporations. It's a win for the employees, which should be an American win. It's a win-win. There's no loss in this change. So other than people just having to get used to change.
And I would say, as far as long-term success goes, it's really a lot more beneficial to do that for mental health issues, for just regular health care, your physical health. So yeah, it's a win-win. I don't understand why anyone would vote against it, but we're going to see it for sure. We're going to see it.
Undoubtedly.
All right, what we got next?
SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, got shut down.
Rich folks bank.
Yeah, rich folks bank. One of the top 20 banks in America. Had some bad investment practices, and overseers,
no surprise there.
Overseers caught wind and said, "Listen, you're taking too many risks. Shutting you down." Government's insuring everyone's money, but basically, let's see here. Management disclosed that they needed to raise $2.25 billion in stocks to shore up the operation because they were having liquid issues. This was part of their mid-quarter financial update, and it was disclosed that they sold $21 billion in securities, but in that sale they took a $1.8 billion loss because of interest rates. So their investments, they made bad investments, and they made too many investments in one area. They weren't, what's the term I'm looking for? Their investments weren't over an array of different areas. It was kind of putting all their eggs in one basket, and they were taking a pretty bad hit. California stepped in and just shut it down before it got out of hand. And people are somehow taking this as a reflection of the economy. I don't even understand how people I don't even understand like how like they just come up with this shit. It's baffling. I don't know. First of all, you just drive around your city wherever the fuck you live. Banks close down all the time.
But
Banks
not
get
for the
bought
rich
out.
folks.
Banks get bought out by other banks. Banks close down. Like it fucking happens. Now, we talked about a few episodes ago all of these train derailments, why the trains are derailing. Restrictions pulled back by previous presidents to financially benefit these companies. And then in the long run, eventually, disaster strikes. Here we are once again. Back in 2018,
Donald Trump, your boy.
Trump signs a bill that axes the regulatory requirements of regional banks with less than 250 billion in assets. This was part of an Obama era, the Dodd-Frank. If you don't know anything I'm talking about, you've heard Dodd-Frank before. Financial regulatory package. So,
and what did Donald Trump say to that? He said the crippling Dodd-Frank when he signed it. His little speech to that, the crippling Dodd-Frank.
Yeah,
yeah.
Basically, what Dodd-Frank was oversight for the banks. So it would monitor their investments. It would monitor the risk of their investments, and if they were getting too risky, they would step in. If you remember back in 2007, 2008, 2009, when we had the whole, housing market collapse, it was because banks were over leveraging themselves. They were taking too much risk. They were playing with money they didn't really have. And it cost the country and the world immensely. So Obama implements something to keep this from happening again. Obama leaves. Trump comes in. Trump says, nah, we're going to let the banks. Yeah, we're going to let the banks monitor themselves.
Freedom.
And so here we are. They closed down. There were some other banks that closed down. And then, people started fucking going crazy. But it's the investments that the bank. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people don't even know what happens with their money.
Well,
when they put it in the bank.
You answer the question. So this is why they are blaming the economy, right? Because they basically got what they were looking for. They got what they asked for, right? They spent themselves out of business is what they did. And now they're looking for a scapegoat. And it's clearly not going to be Donald Trump, or their policies. They're just going to blame the economy in its current state.
Yeah, well,
it's funny how people could be so political when their banks are getting fucking shut down. But yeah,
you want to be anti-regulations, but then lack of regulations cause shit like this. Pretty clear cut. More to come. More to come. I was listening to someone speak today who, me, I'm horrible with names. I can't remember his name, but he was an expert on the matter. And he said the banking industry is strong. There may be some other closures, but people don't need to start freaking out and withdrawing their money, thinking that the whole banking infrastructure will close, because then it will. If everyone goes and starts withdrawing their money, you will essentially collapse the banking industry
and the economy and Joe Biden. Right.
So I think they're just trying to get ahead and calm the panic, which I think the government was also trying to do by assuring everyone that had money in these banks that they would get their money back, because the FDIC only insures 250,000, but even if you have more than that, they're assuring you that you'll get your money back.
Republicans would rather than admit that reversing Dodd-Frank was the right thing. They'd rather admit let me get my thought clear. They would rather the banks crumble than admit that the reversal of that was the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
They would rather see people go into a panic and the banks crumble so they can blame Joe Biden, Democrats, or whatever, than actually take responsibility for deregulating.
I mean, that's clearly what their thought process was, because they constantly support deregulation. So
Right. And then when shit falls apart and, our food is shit and our medicine is shit and banks regulations is shit and everything is shit, who do they blame? They blame us.
It's the fucking woke liberals.
Yeah, the woke liberals, right? We're too woke.
Oh my God.
And we spend too much money and we fuck too much.
Oh, I didn't heard that one.
Well, yeah, they're
anti-abortion.
Gotcha.
I like that. That was a good one. It's a good one. Well, guess we'll see what happens with that. But supposedly, nothing to write home about as far as the banks are concerned. Your money's safe. Probably safer in a bank than it is under your mattress anyway.
Unless you have that gun right next to your money, then you're totally safe, right? Nobody could ever hurt you if you have a gun.
I mean, if you're sitting on your bed all day long, then yeah, but if you got to go out to work, leave your money in your house.
That's what freedom looks like, Damien.
Just sitting on your bed full of money when you're gone.
Have a sip of freedom.
Sipping on some sweet tea with a lemon wedge. And...
America first.
America. Oh man. So Black Entertainment Television, BET, is up for sale. And people are saying it's time for it to be black owned again. It was once the only black owned network. Then it was sold to Viacom. Viacom sold it to Paramount. Now Paramount's wanting to get some money so they can invest into their Paramount Plus network. And they got BET up on the market as well as VH1, I believe. And anyhow, Sean Diddy, or Love as he prefers to be called today, joined Tyler Perry and Byron Allen as interested in being the gentleman to buy this from Paramount. Or maybe they team up together. Who knows? I don't see why it has to be any one individual, but
I feel like the best fit would be Tyler Perry.
Man, it'd just be the Tyler Perry day. We'd be seeing Mama Medea all day long.
I just, why do I feel that way?
Yeah.
Because his roots are in that sort of stuff, right? Like, like the whole Medea thing came from like these like plays and stuff or whatever. And I just feel like his roots are more into like television and, and I don't know, like you could argue with music and everything, which is a big part of BET coming up. And I don't think Diddy would be wrong for that, but I don't want this to be like the Diddy record label TV show. Like
you gotta remember he already has a TV network called Revolt, which is fairly successful. And if anybody is probably most equipped to run a television network, it definitely would be Byron Allen, who has owned several networks and still does. So
yeah, I'm looking at Tyler Perry as like someone who seems to understand the audience.
You mean culturally?
Yeah.
I can see that. I just don't know what that TV network looks like.
I don't think it's the Medea network. But,
I don't know.
And some will argue that Medea
it would have to be
not good for the Black community, but that's a different conversation. But
yeah, but there's no way he owns the network and you're not going to get a dosage of all of the
and there's no way that Diddy is going to own it and you're not going to get the take that. Like, come on,
but he owns one already and we don't see that. Clearly you don't watch the Revolt network.
I don't but
it has I don't watch a lot of it, but I mean they have news sections that are it's all Black. Everyone you see on there is Black. The shows are black. Everything's black. So, and it's not the Diddy dancing through every episode. So,
but would that not give Diddy somewhat of a monopoly on that as well?
Monopoly and what?
Like on black networks.
I don't think so. I mean, there are other black networks. There's the Black News Network. That's owned by.
I'm just saying, if you have two of them, and one of them is BET, it's,
I would like to see. Ideally, I would like to see the three of them come together, form a business group. Because
I'm surprised he's just not running with Jay-Z, but yeah.
Well, he didn't show interest in wanting to own it.
Yeah, but I'm fucking with you. But yeah,
I'm ignoring you. These are the three that are interested in buying it, and I think three heads are better than one. I think everyone has something interesting. Byron Allen has the most experience in running successful networks. Diddy's got his feet wet. And then, like you said, Tyler Perry kind of has a grasp on the culture. I think they make a great team.
So, question: who would you not want? Let's make this a little bit fun, right? Who would you not want to see buy this? Let's try to come up with like 3 or 4 names.
So not out of the 3 who are interested, just in
right, just random people. Like we know, like I know number 1 on my list who I don't want to see buy it.
Who? Jay-Z?
No, Kanye West.
Oh shit,
Kanye West for sure. He cannot own
no,
that.
He has to be
Kanye West. No, I would be cool if Jay-Z owned it, but okay.
Yeah.
So no, Kanye West. We both agree on that, right?
Definitely has to be number 1 on that list.
Bing, 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 bing.
I don't know. I don't know that I could think of anybody other than Kanye West. I couldn't even think of him, but yeah.
You know what is funny? Because everyone else is acceptable now that I said Kanye West. Like,
right, because
you
compare it from there, where do you go? Like, you can't get any fucking worse than that.
So, okay, I'll throw out some names, and how about this? I'll throw out some names, and you tell me yes or no. Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, I would like that.
Okay, I would agree. Lil Wayne.
No. He's probably number 2 next to
yeah,
Kanye.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Kevin Hart.
You know what? He has a network as well, the LOL network. I forgot about
Eddie Murphy.
I'm going to say no, because I think Eddie Murphy is in the part of his career where he's just money grabbing.
Oprah Winfrey.
I'm going to say no, because I think she would sell it pretty quickly.
Barack and Michelle Obama.
That would be interesting, but not BET.
I'll give you 2 more.
They would turn that shit into PBS.
That's a good point. I don't think so though. I think Barack Obama is pretty. I think the both, when you even when he did his music choice where he was still president, and he had Kendrick Lamar his album of the year.
He's down.
He's down. He's not I don't think he'd go totally corporate. Not that PBS is, but he wouldn't go totally
educational.
Yeah. But yeah, I can see why you would say no. So I'm going to give you 2 more. I'll give you 3 more. Spike Lee.
Yeah, I would like that.
All right. LeBron James.
I would like that too.
And the last one, Kyrie Irving.
He came up, but he just didn't have enough money in my mind to be involved in this conversation. But he did pop up in my thought on the anti list.
Okay. All right. Well, we didn't have 20 questions, but hey, That was a close one.
That'll suffice. That'll suffice. But I when BET got sold initially, it's like they tried to turn it into MTV, who Viacom owned MTV at the time, and then they bought BET and VH1. So I'd like to see if we could get back to some of the classics, like if we could bring back some of the classic shows and
Rap
create some
City,
new shit.
Video
Oh man,
Vibrations, yeah.
if Rap City came back, Big Tigger still looks like the same Big Tigger. Bring Big Tigger back in the basement.
Nah, you even go further than that. I think that dude passed away. The mayor, what was his name? He used to do that little fucking dance. He was the first host of Rap City. Why can't I remember his name? He did a
the comedian
Chris Thomas. That's what it was. Yeah,
Chris Thomas.
Chris Thomas.
I remember him. I don't remember him hosting Rap City.
He was the first host of Rap City.
Holy
the
shit.
mayor, Chris Thomas.
I remember he used to do these crazy impersonations. I remember him as a comedian.
Yeah,
I do not remember him as a host of Rap City.
Yeah, he was the host of Rap City.
I wonder for how long.
I associate
2 years.
him.
It was only 2 years, 89 to 91.
Yeah, but he was the host, the first host.
So. In 89, I definitely wasn't watching Rap City.
Yeah. I'm a little bit older, man. It's not rub it in.
The mayor of Rap City, or simply the mayor. Yeah. Who came next? Who was after him? So I got it here. Chris Thomas from 89 to 91. Hans Dobson. It also says from 89 to 93. Prince de Jour.
Oh my God, yes.
From 91 to 94. Joe Claire was 94 to 99, which was what I remember. Leslie Seeger.
Mm-hmm. They
Big Les.
Big Les, right. They ran through a lot of people. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Big Les. But she was there at the same time as Joe Claire.
Yeah.
And then Big Tigger was 98 to 05. And then DJ Mad Links was 05 to 06. That's a Tampa native. Then Jay Nix, then Q45, who's a DJ. And then it was a Raps after that, 08.
Yeah. But yeah, so the mayor. But anyway, this is going to be interesting. I really wonder who's going to end up with BET. That's going to be hopefully something positive.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't give it to Netflix or some shit, or you know what I'm saying, or
that's the thing, because Paramount can sell it to whoever the fuck they want, right? Or whoever comes up with the most money. So more to come on that, I guess. Well, time for music and movie recommendations. T-Pain dropped an album called On Top of the Covers, which is a dope title considering it's a cover album. It's just T-Pain singing songs, cover songs. And he's singing old R&B songs. He's singing rock songs. Like, it's T-Pain exposed. Like, it's pretty dope. It's the songs on there, like, you wouldn't even try to pull it up real quick. I had it up. My bad. I thought I had this pulled up, but I was listening to something else.
All right, I'll chop these little moments up.
Oh shit. The Weeknd just dropped. Damn, I was just on this last night. Here we go. So he's covering songs like "A Change Is Gonna Come."
Sam Cooke classic.
Yeah, "Don't Stop Believing."
Wow.
Yeah,
Journey.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
"Stay With Me." War
Those are,
Pigs. Like it's 8 songs. It's a short album. It's 8 songs, but those are like the ones that stand out that I think everybody would know by title. But T-Pain got some singing chops, man. I mean, if people
those are big shoes to fill.
didn't know that, then now you know he's putting you on notice.
Is it a auto tune versions? Because if it is, I ain't
No,
rocking with
T-Pain
it.
can sing.
Okay, but he uses
It's
auto tune.
everybody uses auto-tune.
Yeah, everybody. But yeah, okay.
99.9%
I'm just saying.
It's
I'll
not
be interested to hear.
it's not the typical auto-tune.
We'll see. I just want to see
if
how
it's
that.
auto-tune, it's just like minor corrections, but it's him singing.
It shouldn't be any. Not with those songs.
Nobody not uses auto-tunes today, bro. Everybody is auto-tune.
Not everyone, but yeah,
The majority.
Only
Vast.
it's going to be. I promise you, it's going to be one of those trends that years from now, people are going to look back and be like, "What the fuck were we thinking?" You watch, mark my words.
The thing about auto-tunes is it before T-Pain made it a trend, it had been used for decades. Just people weren't, it wasn't something that was put on the forefront. It wasn't exposed.
There's auto correction, right? Which studio techniques and stuff, fine. I'm talking about total alteration of your voice.
Yes, this is not that.
That needs to stop. It's going to be frowned upon. One day it will.
I mean, you know, Jay-Z even came out with a song, Death of the Auto-Tune.
It's going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be one of these things where we're going to look back and we're going to be like, why? Why did we do that?
Anyhow, this album ain't that. If it's auto-tune, it's just, you know, typical minor studio corrections. It's not him with the voice sounding altered. You hear his voice. So I listened.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it made me listen because it's not something I would normally listen to, but I listened to it. I was singing along with it. It's pretty good. ESTG, someone I'm sure you have no clue who that is, dropped the album called Mad. It's I like him, man. He's from Kentucky. He's from Louisville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
But he got bars. It's like he's like a hybrid like for today rapper. Like he has bars like comparable to like what you would hear from Griselda, but you definitely hear that Louisville influence in his material, and the beats sound like, I don't even know if you're gonna get this reference because I know it's not up your alley, so I don't know if you listen to it. But do you remember Master P and TRU, the True? Like the beats kind of reminded me of like that, just like hard 808s and just some, you know, Louisville street lyrics on top of it. Is he got bars? It's dope. Right. Something I learned about him I didn't know. I'm familiar with his music, but I didn't really know much about him. But he actually played college football. He got a scholarship to Indiana University. Got into some stupid shit. Got arrested. Lost his scholarship, obviously,
and became a rapper.
Came home and started making music. But
that's the story, bro.
But you can tell, obviously, you know, he in his lyrics, you could just hear he's educated. Is what I mean. Like he's got bars. The content, you know, is a lot of street shit, but it's bars.
It sounds dope. So
then we got the Wu-Tang song of the week.
Well, before we get to that, we'll stick with Wu-Tang on the topic here. But I got something for you.
Got my Wu colors on too.
Yeah, your Wu colors on, the black and yellow, right?
Yeah.
Killer Bees. All right. So I was reading a little article on Boom Bap Nation,
Yes, I love
and
them.
they brought out this some information here. So, according to scientists claim that people who listen to Wu-Tang Clan are smarter than people who listen to trap music. Okay, so let's dig a little deep into this.
How does
So
one determine this?
right, so they did some research with some students, and they studied groups of students who listen to Wu-Tang Clan and groups of students who listen to like different trap artists.
Mhm.
And the SATs of the people who were listening to them were quite a bit different. So if you listen to Wu-Tang Clan, the average SAT score was 1375,
Wow,
1375. And those who listen to trap music were averaging at about 700.
it's almost half.
Right. So now the average SAT score is around 1,000 to 1,100 mark for majority of hip hop music listeners, but
Mm.
for the trap music, they were significantly lower. So if you listen to Wu-Tang, you're probably pretty smart. Now, this is a case of, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So
Right,
I don't think Wu-Tang makes you smarter, but I think
right.
if you gravitate towards that style of music, you probably are a smarter person.
Because there's a lot of
Take
depth
that
to
how
it.
you want, trap music lovers, but just throwing out the facts, scientific studies here,
Yeah, someone might argue that
theories.
maybe Wu-Tang fans are just better test takers.
Yeah, I
that'll
mean,
that'll probably be the spin. But
I'm
not
sure some people are like, "Oh yeah, old dirty bastards." Lyrics were real fucking smart and
yeah,
deep, right? But yeah,
yeah. Then go listen to Inspector Deck and
the
Jizza
genius, the Jizza, right? So yeah,
and Master Killer. Then you yeah. Nah, it on it makes some sense just on a basic level. Wu-Tang's lyrics, for the most part, have depth to them. They're not surface bars. You got
right.
to think about what they're talking about. And a lot of times, some of the topics like the Jizza be rapping about fucking space and
Yeah,
shit like that. So it makes sense.
it definitely makes sense. I'm not at all surprised by this. What surprises me more is that scientists are doing studies on this related to the Wu-Tang Clan. It's beautiful. I love it.
Hey,
So Dame.
yeah,
So with
man.
that was pretty good news. Pretty good, fun topic. What is your Wu-Tang song of the week?
Still working off the album 36 Chambers. I think I got one more to go before we get over this album, but this week it's gonna be Cream. CREAM. Cash rules everything around me.
Around me. Cream, get the money.
Dollar bill, y'all. That's it, man.
All right. Well, I got some movie recommendations. No surprise because of we were talking about the Oscars and Michelle Yeoh. I'm just gonna and I already recommended everything everywhere all at once. I want to recommend it again. So it's a re-recommend for those who haven't seen it. But you gotta sit down and really watch it. It can't be something you casually throw on while you're folding your laundry or have people over and everybody is coming in and out of the room. You gotta really sit down, and it's a good family movie, especially if you can relate to certain things. I don't want to spoil anything in the film, but it's definitely something that it's about relationships, and it's about where you could be, where you should be, where all of that stuff. It's funny, it's sad, it's powerful,
A lot of
it's got some
action.
great action. It's a fantastic movie, it really is. And the other recommendation I have is a Michelle Yeoh classic. It's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with Chow Yun Fat. Michelle Yeoh. If you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? It's a classic,
That's
amazing
a
film.
classic.
Yeah. So those are my two recommendations this week. No documentaries this week. It might be a first, but yeah, it's a
Hey,
Michelle
man.
Yeoh feature. Yeah. So Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Check them out.
That might be the best recommendation combination you've had, I think.
All right. Well,
think so.
I'm glad you think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen one. I've attempted to see the other, but I wasn't prepared to see. So
Yeah, give it
I
a
will go
chance.
back. I will go back.
Definitely worthy of your time.
Um, it's always a part of the podcast I hate doing, but I think it's important. Um, come to the point where we got to say goodbye to some people. And this week we lost the great Bobby Caldwell, who we have spoken about at least a handful of times on this podcast, or just in general conversations. It's best known for his hit song "What You Won't Do for Love," and his music was soulful. So many people believed he was black because his music was so soulful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So much to the point where the record label played on that, and his first album cover was just a silhouette so that you couldn't determine his race. It's him sitting on the bench in a silhouette. First album comes out, this song is a hit, everybody loves it, it's tearing up the airwaves. Then he goes out on tour, and they're like, wait, who's this white guy? This is Bobby Caldwell. That's it, man. What You Won't Do for Love. He never had a song that topped that after, or came close to it. He had some other popular singles that were sampled. This song alone was sampled throughout hip hop quite a bit, but he's got some other songs that are pretty big samples. But Bobby Caldwell, 71 years old. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
And then towards the end of the week, we lost Lance Reddick, who one of my favorite TV shows, The Wire, where he played first it was lieutenant, then he became the commissioner, Cedric Daniels. But he's known for other shows as well, The Fringe, Bosch, John Wick, which he just was in the most recent one that's about to come out. And another show, The Angel Has Fallen. So
yeah, he actually was in one of my favorite shows. It was probably the first, like, all the TV trend shows that we have now really started from the show Oz on HBO.
Yeah, he was in Oz as well.
And he was in Oz. He wasn't in every season, but he kind of came in as someone who was taken over as like the warden or whatever. And he really like flipped the show on its head when he came in, his character. So he did a really good job on that. Obviously Law and Order and all of this other stuff that you see him in The Wire. But one of those actors where you might not know his name, but you definitely know his face.
Right. When you see him, you're like, oh yeah, he's been featured in a lot of movies, but the ones I named were ones where he had prominent roles in. But he was just 60 years old, and it said he died of natural causes. So yeah, that's young for natural causes, but rest in peace, Lance Reddick.
I just to see he's in the film credits for the new White Man Can't Jump that's coming out. So just throwing that out there, yeah. So we'll be seeing him at least in one of the feature before it's all said and done.
White Man Can't Jump and damn, I just went blank. John Wick 4.
Yeah, you said John Wick. Yeah.
All right. That's it, man.
That is it.
21.
We only got one more thing to do, though. We got
22.
one more thing, Daym. We got one more thing, man. How could you forget?
I didn't forget.
It's time for the quote of the Daym. So, Daym, what you got for us, man?
In the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years.
Give me that one more time.
In the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years.
Excellent quote. Much better than the last one that
Last
we
one was
debated.
great too. This one was Abraham Lincoln. Hope that one doesn't go over your head. Yeah.
Good one. Probably an important thing that we should never overlook. Make your days meaningful and filled with joy. Always.
That's basically what it's saying. It's about the experiences, not how long you live, but about the experiences you have in the life that you live.
But yeah, so this is it. Episode
22.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, if you've made it this far, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, ring that bell icon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was a really fun episode. I wish Patricia was here, but I think we held it down pretty good, Daym.
Yeah, man. 20 questions will be back next week.
Along with Patricia. Get well, buddy.
Along with Patricia.
All right. Peace everyone.